What's in Area 51 and what are they hiding from us? Probably one of the most widely asked questions in the world that still remains unanswered. But in the past decades, the public has been fortunate enough to have some of these questions answered from various sources, claiming to be former employees, ex-government officials, and supposed representatives of the Black Projects. And their untimely and suspiciously unusual deaths directly after speaking about these things only further pushes the narrative that what they were telling us was accurate.
To such a point that they're kings and queens over us. I believe that we can still turn this country around, but we're going to have to start asking questions, and we're going to have to start demanding answers.
One of the most prominent figures that stood out amongst these men was a man named Phil Schneider, who became well known for speaking out publicly about government cover-ups and the black budget. Prior to his death in 1996, Phil was diagnosed with cancer and was informed that he would have 6 months to 2 years left to live. With this unfortunate news, he decided to finally blow the lid on what he's experienced during his career working for the government, and by frequently going on tour and lecturing to the public about his knowledge of subjects regarding the secret military base, Area 51. Having a level 1 security clearance, Schneider was directly breaking the law by coming out and speaking about these things. With 17 years' experience working in the government Black Projects as a geologist and engineer, Phil claimed that he co-invented methods used in shape-charged explosives research to facilitate the building of underground military bases and submarine bases throughout the United States. Phil went on to state that Area 51 is not one of a kind. There are 131 active underground military bases across the United States and 1,477 worldwide, with an average cost of $17 to $19 billion each. According to him, they are connected by networks of high-speed railways that can travel up to speeds of Mach 2. Area 51 itself employs over 18,000 workers and has 9 built underground facilities of about 4¼ cubic miles of hollowed space into each. Phil was one of the main engineers responsible for the construction and planning of these underground bases, specifically Area 51. While being very loyal and productive along with bearing a strong mentality, Schneider was one, amongst a few others that had been chosen to help direct this engineering operation, which involved the construct of underground military facilities around Area 51, such as the Dulce Base, Groom Lake, S4, and Los Alamos. But during the development of these underground bases, Schneider shared an unbelievable experience he would never forget. The construction began with hollowing out 2½ miles of rock per day with advanced drilling equipment. However, for some odd reason, the drills kept breaking at a certain depth, putting a temporary halt to the project. Phil became increasingly more suspicious when he noticed the staggering amount of Green Berets and Special Agents suddenly entering the area. Phil, along with a team of 66 service agents and Green Berets, were sent down to assess the issue. As they descended into the hole, they realized that they had just entered into a nest of alien grays, and as soon as he pulled out his sidearm, he was blasted by a beam of light that supposedly opened up his chest and burnt off a few of his fingers. He described it like the feeling of being struck by lightning. Soon after, a large firefight erupted as soldiers stormed in, beginning the fight for their lives. In the chaos, only 3 individuals, including Phil, made it back up to the surface alive, thanks to a soldier who allegedly gave up his life to bring Phil and a couple of others to safety. After that tragedy, Phil became an outspoken advocate, calling for the government to be more transparent with their knowledge of alien life. He made claims that underground conflicts like this are occurring all over the world without the public's knowledge. From this point on, Phil became increasingly more interested in the alien threat and government secrecy, and decided to gather up as much evidence and information as he could. And in his final public talk in 1995, he did go on to describe some chilling topics. He claims the priority of the entire alien agenda is a complete takeover of this planet, with the killing off of 5/6 to 7/8 of the world's population by year 2029. According to Phil, the US government has also been in contact with more benevolent aliens that want to help us. Phil even claims to have met one of them, going by the name Valiant Thor, stating that he has a human-like appearance but superhuman-like abilities such as a 1200 IQ with a brain capacity of 300 centimeters greater than ours. Apparently, this individual has been working alongside the US and the Pentagon since 1937. He also describes some of the technology, stating that most of the new hardware and state-of-the-art gadgets and weapons we see in today's modern society is actually old by government standards. Apparently, all stealth aircraft and Phoenix-class submarines are built and shielded with an unbreakable alien compound metal material that has the ability to withstand temperatures in excess of 10 million degrees Fahrenheit. The material is said to be the heaviest element in the world, going by the name carbonite. Its periodic number is 140, and with there being only 104 elements in the current periodic table, this leaves the door open to many more unknown elements that we are currently unaware of. Another interesting thing Phil stated was that in 1947, the public was informed that a UFO crashed somewhere in the Roswell, Nevada desert. However, sources claimed that the government first saw their glimpse of the alien question as far back as 1909. Records show that back in 1909, the Army cavalry was chasing a group of bandits that were held up in a cave. Inside the cave, they found flying discs and little alien grays, along with a number of other unexplainable technologies and gadgets. Phil Schneider goes on to share and explain many more interesting pieces of information and artifacts in his lectures. There are links to them in the description if you are interested. And of course, shortly after going to all of these conferences and lectures, Phil Schneider did indeed pass away. However, it was not the cancer that killed him, like you might have expected. He was found strangled to death in his apartment on January 17, 1996. Police ruled his death to be suicide, yet this seems unlikely given the fact that he was already approaching death due to his illness. Many of Phil's supporters claim he was murdered. People argued, how could a man with several missing fingers tie a knot so tight around his neck with plastic tubing? With the lack of any logical explanations, things just don't seem to add up, leaving the possibility of anything but suicide to be a more believable cause of death, especially for someone who was suddenly spilling so much information out to the public, and this only further pushes validity to his claims, meaning that what Phil was trying to warn us about could very well be true. This is a very interesting story. However, this is all speculation and theories. Are Phil Schneider's claims legitimate? You be the judge. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. We'll be diving into some more interesting and chilling topics that you won't want to miss. Until then, I'll see you next time.